Sunrise and streaming on CrossroadsToday.com. President Joe Biden arrived back at the White House Wednesday night following a trip to New York. And a bus carrying dozens of asylum seekers from Venezuela arrived in Philadelphia Wednesday morning from Texas. Plus, New York Representative George Santos has pled not guilty to a host of federal charges. All of this and more straight ahead.
You look on the outside, we're seeing the sun coming up in Cuero, but cloudy skies for the most part. The calm before the storm, if you will. Calm today, no rain anticipated. Over the weekend, different story. We'll give you the details coming up in your forecast.
At Crossroads, we check out highlights from the win-or-go-home game between Shiner and Refugio. That's coming up in sports.
You're watching 25 News Now Sunrise. Good morning, I'm Carolina Astrain.
I'm Trey Manning.
And today is the 11th day of May 2023. The time is now 6:30, just about 6:31 on your Thursday morning. And on this day in 330, that's 330, Constantine I dedicated the Byzantium as the capital of the Eastern Roman Empire. So that's also Byzantine and Constantinople.
I've heard that before. Very good. Carolina on the world history. That's always good, something to study.
Well, it's interesting because isn't it kind of between, it's like what's dividing or right on the borderline of the European countries and Asia.
Yes.
Right? So it's
that eastern area, correct.
An area of diplomacy and lots of history.
Very much so, very much so. It's very interesting to study that, of course, and read up on it when you got time because you don't want to pass it by because it's very good to know. All right, current conditions. Let's take a look at that. 76 degrees in Victoria right now with cloudy skies, to partly cloudy skies, and we'll be partly cloudy by the afternoon, allowing the temperature to rise pretty rapidly throughout the day and giving us that humid feel that we all know so well around here. 4 mile visibilities out there, 100% humidity. It's saturated out there. Nothing on the radar this morning. This time yesterday we were tracking storms. Not the case today because we're kind of in between storms. One to the northeast has moved all out of our area, and one coming at us from the west, which will bring big rain amounts coming up by the weekend. Temperature is 80 degrees or so along the immediate coast, Seadrift. That means you, also Port Lavaca, Port O'Connor area, and down to Rockport. 75, 76 degrees from Victoria northward along the I-10 corridor down to US 59 corridor as well by the same temperatures. Here's the storm from yesterday right there, located near Texarkana, moving into Arkansas with big rains up there extending down about Lufkin or so. And then here's the next storm system for us that's affecting our weather. See the low pressure twist right here? That's bringing down a front into western Texas with thunderstorms erupting now south of Lubbock along the boundary there to Amarillo and points to the north. This is supported by an upper low in the upper levels of the atmosphere aloft. That'll get close to us, has a lot of moisture to work with. You definitely can feel that. So when these two combine, they're pretty vigorous as well, and that'll cause a pretty widespread area of rain showers and thunderstorms across our region here. So please be prepared for that because I'm thinking that the rains we've already had pretty significant around most of the area. Remember, Calhoun County got 4 inches or so, and in that last day or two. This already saturated soils, more rain headed our way. That's why we're concerned about some flooding issues around here. So maybe weather aware over the weekend for our region. And what about the forecast specifically? Yes, we got it covered for you. We'll have that a little bit later on in this half hour. Carolina?
Thank you, Trey. Police are investigating an attempted robbery in the 1700 block of Azalea Street. The suspect tried to rob an apartment building but fled the scene on foot after a witness called police. The suspect was last seen wearing a white shirt, blue jeans, and is said to have short dreadlocks. More information will be available on CrossroadsToday.com as this story develops. President Joe Biden arrived back at the White House Wednesday night following a trip to New York. While in New York, he delivered remarks in Valhalla about the ongoing talks over the national debt ceiling and why there must be an agreement to avoid a default, saying the Republican lawmakers must move quickly to raise the country's $31.4 trillion debt ceiling or risk throwing the U.S. economy into a recession that would kill thousands of jobs. He also called out the Trump administration for increasing the deficit and supporting tax cuts for the wealthy. The president also highlighted the accomplishments of his administration while emphasizing the importance of avoiding a default for the first time in U.S. history. A new memo from the Biden administration would allow some migrants at the southern border to enter the U.S. without being tracked. The Department of Homeland Security confirmed that overcrowded customs and border protection sectors will be instructed to release migrants on parole without court dates instead of placing them in a tracking program called Alternatives to Detention. The memo comes ahead of what is expected to be a greater surge at the border when Title 42 lifts today. More than 11,000 migrants were apprehended crossing the border Tuesday. Border Patrol agents conducted a scheduled operational readiness exercise at the San Isidro port of entry Wednesday night. The drill was planned to occur around the same time that Title 42 is expected to expire, although the U.S. Customs and Border Protection did not confirm whether the exercise was related. The number of migrants at the U.S.-Mexico border is increasing by the hundreds, adding to the thousands already there as the expiration of Title 42 nears. According to agents, the exercise resulted in minimal processing delays for border crossers. A bus carrying dozens of asylum seekers from Venezuela arrived in Philadelphia Wednesday morning from Texas. The immigration rights organization was at 30th Street Station to welcome 31 people seeking asylum to Philadelphia. 26 of those individuals were taken to the Welcome Center in North Philly, and they were given a meal, a shower, and access to lawyers. It is unclear if or when more buses may arrive. New York Representative George Santos has pled not guilty to a host of federal charges. The Republican congressman has been charged with making false statements, fraud, money laundering, and other crimes in a 13-count federal indictment. According to the DOJ, if he is convicted, Santos could face up to 20 years in prison. Santos first came under scrutiny after a New York Times investigation last year found that much of his resume appeared to have been manufactured, including claims that he owned numerous properties, was previously employed by Goldman Sachs and Citigroup, and had graduated from Baruch College. Santos says he will not resign and that he plans to defend himself from what he is calling a witch hunt. Leading us to your viewer poll. Should George Santos be convicted? Okay, let's take a look. 87% of you say yes. When we first started the show this morning, it was just 50%, so that number has grown. And let's see, 13% of you say no. We want to keep hearing from you. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part in our viewer poll. The Labor Department reported this morning that inflation fell for the 10th month in a row in April, coming in just below expectations that it would remain unchanged from March. The report says inflation was 4.9% compared to a year ago, lower than the 5% rate that analysts had forecasted. It's the slowest annual rise in inflation in 2 years. On a month-to-month basis, inflation rose 0.4%. As in previous reports, housing costs were the biggest contributor to monthly and yearly increases. A new survey shows Victoria is the 155th most expensive city in Texas for household expenses. Doxo Insight survey shows Victoria households spend 37% of their income on household bills. The average Victoria household spends just over $1,000 per month on rent and $412 on utilities. And here are some of the top headlines you can read in this week's Port Lavaca Wave. In Port Lavaca, Daniel Aguirre won Port Lavaca City Council District 1 seat, and Justin Weaver won a seat on the Calhoun Port Authority Board. Law enforcement made 24 weekly arrests in May, plus an agreement on a long-term harbor lease was approved during Seadrift's City Council meeting. You can read these stories and more at theportlavacawave.com. All right, get your cell phone and scan this QR code. It's our quick response code to download the Crossroads Today app. You can get breaking news alerts, vote in our viewer poll, get the latest in news, weather, and sports, and learn all about our ongoing contest right there on the app. Submit those news tips and photos. The time is now just about 6:39 on your Thursday morning. Here's a look at what's coming up on 25 News Now Sunrise. The Luther Hotel has a hearing set for today.
Title 42 ends tonight, and this morning crowds are gathered at the border. I'm Lindsay Watts in Washington. Coming up, response by the Biden administration and Congress to expected chaos.
I'll take a look at this. This is not for today, but this is for Friday. There is a marginal risk of severe weather from Victoria westward and a slight risk in the Hill Country. And we move to Saturday, it gets closer to us. It includes most of the area with a slight risk of severe weather. The main story is going to be the heavy rainfall and potential flooding over the weekend. So we need to be weather aware and stay weather aware. More details coming up later on. Good morning, 6:41 is the current time. Starting off with cloudy skies, I think we'll see some breaks in the cloud cover by the afternoon, especially allowing those temperatures to reach near 90 degrees, definitely over that with heat index value. But it'll be good to see the sun a little bit because it's going away and stayed away for Friday, and not until next week before it makes its appearance here because we're under cloud cover the whole time. Mostly cloudy skies for your Friday, and we'll see storms getting closer to us coming up by your early Saturday morning, and that'll be moving on through and giving us some heavy rain around here, and the flooding potential is also there. 7 a.m. Port Lavaca, 77 degrees, well into the 80s, 84, 85 degrees by 12 noon, with some peaks of sun through the overcast skies, 87 degrees by 4 o'clock in the afternoon as well. Definitely hot and humid. You want to stay in the air conditioning if you can. Do not go outside and do any rigorous activities because you'll get overheated very quickly. And we'll give you the details on the wet forecast coming up a little bit later on. Carolina?
Thank you, Trey. Here's Sports Director Gino Perez with your sports.
At a crossroads, the Shiner Comanches and Refugio Bobcats faced off in our own backyard, but really it was the Ryan Peterson show. Ryan had 8 strikeouts on the day, and it looked like it was going to be a defensive battle, but with 2 outs, the Shiner Comanches went on a rally, and it was a conga line to home plate as Shiner would go on to score 4 runs in the second inning and then add 5 more in the third. The would-be game-winning run came in the bottom of the 4th. The Refugio Bobcats tried to get something going on the offensive side of the plate, but just could not do it. The coach was seen talking to his athletes, trying to get them pumped up, but Sam Houston State University commit Ryan Peterson finished the game with a strikeoff to complete a perfect game. He would end the night with 8 strikeouts.
Just keep doing what I've been doing all game, and don't try and overthrow or put too much pressure on myself. Just go out there and keep throwing well and have a good outing.
This is not Ryan's first perfect game, but he collects the ball every time he does something special to commemorate the event. The Lady Comanches also won, beating the Ganado Maidens 10-4. That's your 25 Sports Now.
Thank you, Gino. We want to invite you to experience our digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. You can find it on your connected TV through Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, and on your cell phone. Just search Crossroads Today Plus. Crowds of migrants are gathered at the border this morning with Title 42 set to expire later today. Hundreds of National Guard members are deployed, some in riot gear, and the pandemic-era policy allowed the U.S. to turn away migrants, citing concerns over COVID.
This morning, migrants are crowding at the southern border. In California, volunteers serve sandwiches in San Diego.
Behind us, we have migrants who are asylum seekers, some of whom have been here for 6 days, 7 days.
In Texas, drone footage shows the lines in El Paso. And in Brownsville, the National Guard in place as Title 42 expires late tonight. President Biden says it's going to be chaotic at the border for a while.
Look, the purpose of what we're doing now is making legal immigration more streamlined, illegal immigration shorter term and move in a direction that people know that there's a legal way to get here and not a legal way.
A new policy by the Biden administration will require migrant families seeking asylum to be subjected to home curfews and GPS monitoring while immigration officials determine whether they should be deported.
We are making it very clear that our border is not open, that crossing irregularly is against the law, and that those who are not eligible for relief will be quickly returned.
House Republicans expected to vote today on a new bill that would further restrict asylum and build more of the border wall. President Biden says he'll veto the bill if it passes.
If you don't like our bill, what's your answer? What's your plan? What are you going to do?
Aid workers say while some migrants are aware of Title 42, many are not.
They're risking everything to come to the United States because they cannot be in their home country.
Another new rule by the Biden administration says migrants must have paperwork filed before they arrive, or they'll have to wait 5 years before applying again. Lindsay Watts, ABC News, Washington.
A historic hotel in the Crossroads is at risk of being demolished and it has a hearing set for today. The hearing for the Luther Hotel in Palacios will be on Judge Polly Spencer's YouTube channel at 2 p.m. The hearing will include the judge's ruling on whether or not to make the contract public between the Rachel Foundation, the group that owns the Luther Hotel, and the estate. Come to crossroadstoday.com to learn more and to find a link to today's hearing. The time is now 6:46 on your Thursday morning. Coming up, we learn about continuing workforce education courses offered at VC this summer and fall.
Good morning. Current time is 6:49, and take a look at the Crossroads area. What's going on weather-wise? Pretty quiet overall. No rain this morning. We had a lot of rain this time yesterday, but not the case today. That system has moved out. We're anticipating another system to move in from the west, which will increase our rain chance even more, longer period of time, and more amounts probably in the rain buckets before that's all said and done. And let's take a look at the future tracker here. Cloudy skies to start off with, some breaks in the cloud cover by afternoon. Allow those temperatures to rise to the mid to upper 80s around here, and waiting until the rain arrives, more than likely well after sunset on Friday. So today, 86 degrees, partly cloudy skies and hot, southerly winds, and so stay cool out there. Overnight low 75 degrees, cloudy skies and humid. And then the rain comes after about sunset tomorrow. Most of the day on Friday will be dry, 85 degrees. Afternoon storms well into the evening, actually. The later you go, the better the rain chance will be. That's taking us through the weekend with flooding potential with heavy rain likely on Saturday and Sunday into Monday. So watch and listen for weather developments, alert days those days, and then reducing somewhat by Tuesday and Wednesday.
I'm now joined by Rachel Nassel from Victoria College. She's here to talk to us about continuing workforce education classes offered at Victoria College this summer and fall. Welcome.
Thank you for having me today. I really appreciate it.
Yes, it's always great to see you. And so tell us about these courses. There's two specialty areas in particular we want to highlight. There's fiber optics and then automotive specialist training.
Service excellence.
Service excellence.
Yes, yes. So we just released our summer-fall schedule that we're very excited about. Registration is now open. We have all of those standard classes that we always offer, like the NCCER Industrial Trades, our truck driving, but we are very excited to begin offering fiber optic certifications. So students can take a one-week course and they can get 3 different certifications, and tuition is $3,100 for that one.
Wow.
And then the other opportunity is that ASE certification. So instead of automotive technicians going to our big cities around us, they can now come to Victoria College to take those tests.
To take those tests and hopefully stay in Victoria.
That's correct, yes.
And that certification with the automotive services, that's kind of the difference between entry-level pay and getting that promotion.
Absolutely. That they're stackable credentials, so they can take a variety of different tests that can advance their career.
Wow, and this is starting in the summer.
Yes, yes. We started the ASE certification testing this month in May, so they can just call our office to sign up for those tests. And the fiber optics starts, we have 1 class this summer and 1 class this fall.
And fiber optics, it's one of the fastest growing areas in our country as far as careers go because of that growing infrastructure and the need for more fiber optics throughout our rural areas.
Absolutely. With the pandemic, we definitely realized that there was a need for that that opportunity in our community. So we're very excited to be able to train those people to be able to work in our area to improve that.
So Rachel, it's about, are we mid-May already? What do we need to do if we're interested in pursuing these programs? Where can we go?
Absolutely. So victoriacollege.edu/WCE, you'll be able to see our schedule online. And it will show you the step-by-step process of how to go ahead and get registered. Like I said, registration is open now. You can go ahead and apply for financial aid, do all of those things so that you're ready to go for your class start date.
And you'll make that money back in no time.
Absolutely. That is definitely the goal.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Rachel, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this break. And now for today's question of the day. Today we want to know, it is National Eat What You Want Day, so we want to know what food would you eat more of if there were no consequences for eating it. Okay, Trey, we've got pizza, ice cream, cheeseburger, cake, cheesecake, fresh bread, cheeseburger, and bacon cheeseburgers. Wow, cheeseburgers are really people's guilty pleasures.
Oh, I can definitely understand why. All those qualify, in my opinion, all the foods have been listed there. So.
Do you put the egg on a cheeseburger, Trey?
I do that before,
That's
yes.
good.
Exactly. And if you want to, put some jalapenos on there too. So don't go overboard, but it certainly tastes good. And thanks for chiming in for the question of the day. Stay tuned tomorrow. Another question of the day to get you going for your Friday.
Several rail cars from a Norfolk Southern train derailed late Wednesday night in Newcastle, Lawrence County. The accident happened shortly after 11 near Montgomery Avenue and Lafayette Street in the city's Mahoningtown area. The Newcastle Fire Department told Pittsburgh's news sources that 9 out of more than 200 rail cars went off the tracks and that none of the cars that were derailed were carrying hazardous materials. Paraffin wax, commonly used to make candles, as well as salt, spilled during the derailment. The fire department says those substances are not considered hazardous. Ukraine's emergency service says 5 people were confirmed injured as a result of a Russian strike in the Zaporizhzhia region late on Wednesday. The fire caused by shelling destroyed 11 houses in one of the villages in the region. Among the injured are firefighters who were dispatched at the site. The service also said the 2 ambulances were damaged as a result of the fire. And here are the current river flood warnings posted for the crossroads from the National Weather Service. In Victoria and Goliad counties, a river flood warning in effect until early Friday morning for Colodo Creek at Arnold Road Crossing. And in Goliad County, a river flood warning in effect until late Thursday morning for the San Antonio River at Highway 72 near Runkey. And in Victoria County, a river flood warning in effect through early Saturday morning for the Guadalupe River at Victoria. And in Victoria and Calhoun counties, a river flood warning in effect until further notice for the Guadalupe River near Bloomington. And in Jackson County, a river flood warning in effect until late Friday evening for the Lavaca River near Edna. In Jackson County, a river flood warning goes into effect Thursday evening until Saturday afternoon for the Navidad River at Strain Park. The City of Victoria closing parts of Riverside as the Guadalupe River rises. The boat ramp, Fox's Bend, Grover's Bend are closed to vehicle and pedestrian traffic. All other areas of the park are expected to remain open. The closed areas of the park are expected to reopen late Friday. The rainfall in Calhoun County has reached 4 inches in some areas of the county. The Port Lavaca Wave reports the south side of Port Lavaca near Chocolate Bayou received between 3 to 4 inches of rain yesterday morning. Several areas had flooding, such as this area near George and Ann Streets. And we want to invite you to experience our digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. You can find it on your connected TV through Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, and on your cell phone. Just search Crossroads Today Plus. And let's go ahead and get a last look at our forecast with First Warn Storm Team meteorologist Trey Mining. Hey, Trey.
Hey, Carolina. Let's take a look at what's going on. Cloudy skies this morning, breaking away to some areas of the crossroads, seeing some breaks of cloud cover with some sunshine shining on through. That'll help to bring our temperature near 90 degrees. No rain anticipated today in between both systems. The one to the east has already went through our area. Another one approaching us from the west by early morning on Saturday. So let's specifically today, no rain anticipated. Break from the rainfall, 86 degrees. Partly cloudy skies and hot temperatures. Heat index well above 90 degrees by the afternoon time. Be careful out there. Overnight low 75 degrees. Cloudy skies, humid, southerly winds. And for your day tomorrow, most of the day on Friday actually will be dry, 85 degrees, with thunderstorms rolling in after the sunset hour, probably well after that as a matter of fact, into your early morning on Saturday, which will amount to some heavy rainfall potential on Saturday, Sunday, even into Monday. So there could be some localized flooding, I'm thinking, around here with the widespread rainfalls anticipated. So be weather aware. Also a risk of severe weather at that time as well. And by the time we get to Tuesday, temperatures beginning to rise back up again. As you see more sunshine, there's only slight rain chances for Tuesday and Wednesday. Make it a great day today and stay cool. Carolina?
Thank you, Trey, and thank you for joining us. Make it a wonderful Thursday. Don't forget it's Eat What You Want Day, and be sure to join us tonight for 25 News Now at 5, 6, and 10. Don't forget that umbrella.